Good evening, Shortcuts. This is Stephen here with video 2 for this week's Shortcuts price list. The first in 2 weeks, so we had an Easter break. The price list will be published 9 p.m. this Wednesday, April 30th, Sydney time. If you would like to be on the price list, my email address is shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. So this is the genre list. So we have jazz, soul, blues, folk, Latin music, and some country and various other things as well. The last 3 records are VMP pressings, Vinyl Me Please pressings, kind of unusual and interesting ones. And the first 8 or 9 are Japanese. Now, it has often, I have been asked the question, if you could grab one record from your collection as you run out the door, which one would it be? And over the last few years, the answer has started to solidify. I spoke about this record last year, but I'm going to talk about it again because this is the first time I've had this record complete with Obi since I bought it myself, and it is in absolutely miraculous condition. I'm talking about Blue and Sentimental by Ike Quebec, the tragic saxophonist. Now, I'm actually going to add into the mix here the second record on the list, and you're going to see some similarities in the sleeve design. This is Flight to Jordan by Duke Jordan. So let's remind you, just go back. This is Blue and Sentimental by Ike Quebec. Ike Quebec, tenor sax, Grant Green on guitar, Paul Chambers on bass, Philly Joe Jones on drums. And here we have Dizzy Reese on trumpet, Stanley Turrentine on tenor sax, Duke Jordan on piano, Reginald Workman on bass, and Art Taylor on drums. But what you also have here is a shared producer, and that producer is Mr. Alfred Lyon, who was the creator of and founder of Blue Note. And these are examples of early 60s Blue Note soul jazz. So what you have is a mixture of quite accessible upbeat songs, but also these incredibly lugubrious and beautiful blues slow ballads. And both these albums have stellar examples. Starbright on Flight to Jordan, and in the case of Ike Quebec's Blue and Sentimental, the title track itself, or Blues for Charlie on side 2. This album is absolutely spectacularly brilliant. Easily in my top 3 of all time, if not number 1. The interplay between Ike Quebec with the soft, breathy saxophone and Grant Green, who clearly loves playing with Ike Quebec because his guitar break on, say, the title track, Blue and Sentimental, is searing in places which you do not typically see or hear with Grant Green, who, especially as his career progressed, became increasingly kind of tasteful and melodic, whereas on Blue and Sentimental, he's bending the strings, he's flipping this thing, it's going hard. There have been no other quality represses of this record. So Blue Note have never put it on Tone Poet or Classic, as far as I'm aware. But there's no need. This pressing sounds unbelievable. I promise you, it is the go-to tune I have with people who sit down, especially if they say to me, I don't like jazz. And I go, oh, you do like jazz, you just haven't found the jazz you like yet. And I'll often try and go the Ike Quebec direction. I also love Duke Jordan. Duke Jordan pianist, Brooklyn born, played with Charlie Parker, so very different kind of musical upbringing to Quebec. Kind of made his name in the bebop scene, and in the 50s really was kind of obscure. But Blue Note took him under their wing, and he released a series of records on Blue Note that are really, really good. Flight to Denmark. But I think Flight to Jordan is by some considerable distance the best. It's really crisp, it's really melodic. The obvious piano interplay with the instruments is just wonderful. It's really soulful. It has its similarities to Blue and Sentimental, which is why I chose to lead off with them both, not just in terms of the sleeve design, but also just that textured, melodic, sensitive interplay that leads to really beautiful music. Look at those two records. Let's see if I can get this in it. I move this to here and this to there. Yeah. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Quebec's Blue and Sentimental, Duke Jordan's Flight to Jordan. Flight to Jordan features a really young, up and coming and hungry Stanley Turrentine on tenor sax as well. It's just wonderful, just absolutely wonderful. And I love the next record just as much. I spoke about this record last month when Roberta Flack passed away, and I had an Aussie copy, but I put the bat signal to my friends in Shinjuku, and they've sent me two beautiful Japanese first presses. Lovely sleeve, hard cardboard. Compared to What, the opening track by Jean McDaniels, she does the absolute canonical version. Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye, The First Time I Ever Saw Your Face, Ballad of the Sad Young Men. Everything about this record is pretty much perfect. I think this is one of the great debut albums, and she kind of maybe equaled it a few times. Like, I really like Quiet Fire. I really like Quiet Fire, but I don't think she ever beat it. And there may be some records that are just as good. Roberta Flack, piano and vocals, John Pizzarelli on guitar, Ron Carter on bass, and Ray Lucas on drums. Just absolutely sonically stunning, dynamic record, which is what works so well on Japanese vinyl. Cannot recommend it highly enough. If you don't have this record in your collection, give it a listen. It's wonderful. All right. This next record is Shortcuts Royalty. There are 52 or so owners of this record in the club. I am putting it up here just because this copy is in such beautiful condition. It is still in the shrink wrap, still has the obi. It's has the booklet, which is in perfect condition. It is the Japanese BST 84195. I'm not sure what year that is, but it is absolutely perfect condition. Herbie Hancock was quite incredibly young. I think he was 23 or 24 years of age when he made Maiden Voyage, which was stylized, by the way. It was him imagining being on a trip on water. It's so sophisticated. The melodies flow like the sea, interlapping waves. You can kind of see where he's coming from. And it kind of like heralds a serene genius, really. Yeah, and those Japanese pressings are wonderful. Freddie Hubbard, George Coleman, Ron Carter, Tony Williams on drums. Just a wonderful, wonderful record. Yeah. Yeah, nothing more to be said. What's remarkable about this list is that We've gone 4 records before we've even got to this, which is the Japanese first press of Marvin Gaye's iconic What's Going On. This is on hard cardboard in absolutely wonderful condition. With the inner, and there's that iconic Tamla Motown label. The number one, we've had a lot of records in tonight's list, plus the kind of the classic rock list and this soul list that were in Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums list from recent years. This took over in the most recent list in number 1 position, and rightfully so. The Prince of Motown came from Washington, D.C., and basically owned Detroit with this completely legendary record. Part of the reason that it's so successful is the recording techniques. It's so seamless. There's that beautiful, thick, warm bass, and each instrument, because of the nature of how the Japanese like to really focus on soundstage and separation, what you get with the Japanese pressings of What's Going On is a real sense of place of the instruments, because on bad pressings, this record can sound a little bit like a dirge, like just everything kind of comes together. But not on these early Japanese pressings. They really do sound incredible. And yeah, imagine Marvin Gaye produced that himself. He knew in his own mind what he wanted to hear. Kind of a little bit, I guess, kind of Brian Wilson-esque, but it's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Even though Berry Gordy thought it was the worst thing he'd ever heard, I think he ended up eating his words. All right, let's go some blues. What about this? This is Rory Gallagher live in Europe. Again, hard cardboard gatefold. Not a gatefold, actually, just a hard cardboard sleeve. Really cool photo of Rory on the back. When I was doing my research on this record, I was quite surprised to find that Melody Maker magazine had a thing each year in the 70s of the live album of the year, and Rory Live in Europe was their live album of the year of 1972, and this actually represented the 1972 tour as well. It's probably got certainly his most famous live song, which is Messin' with the Kid, which is a bit of a classic. Produced by himself as well. And what does that mean? No overdubs. So it is kind of like a proven mythology at this point that particularly double kind of hefty live records that bands would make to fulfill contracts or just to get some product on the street would often be significantly overdubbed. But Rory refused. What you hear on this record is exactly how they sounded on the night, which I think is pretty cool. All right, I have this. This is the Japanese gatefold of what's called the best collection of Stevie Wonder. There's the hard cardboard gatefold, complete with Obi, Superstition, You're the Sunshine of My Life, Uptight, Traveling Man, Machinery Moore, Higher Ground, Blowing in the Wind, Fingertips, Signed, Sealed, Delivered, Living Through the City. This really is an encapsulation of everything about Stevie Wonder in really nice Tamla Motown vinyl. Highly, highly recommended. I've got a copy. Love it very, very much. Now, this next record we have never had on the list before, and it is a folk record. It is called Bert and John. Bert Jansch and John Renbourn, who were two of Britain's most revered acoustic guitarists. Bert Jansch, kind of quite bluesy in his style. John Renbourn, much more kind of trained classical. But together, they made Hellfire music. And this record, whilst being quite intimate, has become one of the touchstone folk records in the history of the genre. Really delicate, really beautiful. I played side one earlier today. I'd never heard any of it before. I think it's one of these hidden gems. It's got its reverential kind of cohort within the folk community, but outside the folk, it's kind of a bit lost. But the Japanese version is really warm and beautiful. Whilst it also does sound quite minimalist, it's very, very complex. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I can hear Nick Drake. I can 100% hear where Fleet Foxes got their sound. They completely ripped off this album. But anyway, I put it on there because I think it's got something. And this kind of sleeve on the front, so they're playing. I think it looks like Go, with the empty cigarette packet and a few cups of tea. Bert and John. I've never had this. Well, maybe I had it a long time ago, but not for a long time. This is. Oh, am I upside down? Yeah. This is Amigos by Santana. Now, there is no doubt what the most spectacular sleeve of tonight is. Look at this. Folds out to that, and on the inside has that. Talk about, Japanese hard cardboard kind of madness. This is obviously Carlos Santana, kind of Mexican-American guitarist, influence or melded Latin sounds and kind of, I guess, rock and roll soloing and became a megastar. This record is kind of like a return to the classic Santana sound. He'd made a few different types of sounds or different records in the mid-70s. This features Europa Earth's Cry, which is one of his most kind of soaring instrumentals. I would not consider myself a Santana aficionado or even really a Santana fan. There are certain records of his that I like. I really like Santana 3. I like this record, and there are bits of others that I like. But this is kind of quite commercial sounding, but the Japanese pressing of this thing, bloody hell, it sounds good. Really, really good. Yeah. Amigos, the Japanese first press by Santana. All right, now there are 3 Vinyl Me Please pressings to go. 2 out of these are completely new. The third, I did have a copy a while back on it, and it went because I might even leave with it because it's that good. This is the Vinyl Me Please pressing of The Hissing of Summer Lawns by Joni Mitchell, which also appears on Rolling Stone's list of the greatest 500 records of all time. What Vinyl Me Please did, and this is still sealed all the way, is they went back to the original tapes and they made 2 times 45 RPM copy on this really beautiful green vinyl. Lacquer's cut from the master tapes by Ryan Smith at Sterling Sound. It weighs a ton because this gatefold folds out and looks absolutely spectacular. The best thing about this record is it's really fun to listen to. It's got some typical kind of oddness. The Jungle Line is a song that I'm not sure I'm ever going to learn to love it, but I can kind of appreciate it. But around it are these absolutely killer songs. This is highly recommended. 45 RPM, double LP, Joni Mitchell, The Hissing of Summer Lawns. Now here are the 2 that I was not aware of, and we're back to folk. This is Folk Singer by Dave Von Ronk. This is also sealed. It was a VMP Classic. It's number 68, which means, I'm just going to read what it says here. It's probably pressed QRP or one of the others, but it's... Oh, here we go. Lacquer's cut from the original master tapes by Ryan Smith. Pressed 180 gram black vinyl. Listening notes by Elijah Wild. So it's got some listening notes in there. Devon Ronk, massive influence on the likes of Bob Dylan and the band and others. I think that listening, for me, his voice is kind of gruff and a bit challenging, but some of these songs, Stack of Lee, Poor Lazarus, Cocaine Blues, they really work. And I can understand why it's kind of a cornerstone of American folk music. It's very direct, very spiritual, personal, unvarnished. Yeah, if you're a folk fan, or if you like that movie that the Coen brothers made, that was clearly based on Dave Van Ronk, as Dee pointed out to me when I confused him with Dylan, then I think this is a record that's going to float your boat. And because it's mastered from the original analog tapes, it really does sound good. And then finally, we have the Carnegie Hall concert by Buck Owens and his Buckaroos. And there's the backside. This was the country music stream of Vinyl Me Please. This was their 10th release. Lacquer's cut from the original master tapes by Kevin Gray. Oh, actually, Kevin Gray, Coherent Audio. Pressed on exclusive 180-gram yellow vinyl at Third Man Pressing. Listing notes by Andrew Winestorfer. Again, completely sealed. Buck Owens, he came from Texas, and then moved from Texas to California. But he revolutionized country music with this, what was called the Bakersfield sound, which was rawer, more twangy, more playful, a little bit less slick than the kind of oleaginous, kind of sloppy, thick, gloopy Nashville sound of the time. And so this live album is, seen by those in the kind of country music canon as representing that high energy, peak, fun, rollicking kind of country performance at the prestigious Carnegie Hall. So celebrated as maybe the greatest live country album ever. Truly a milestone. And yeah, be interesting to see if anyone fancies a copy. What else do I have to say? That is it for the genre list. If you would like to receive the pricing for anything on that list, drop me an email, shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. The price list will go out this Wednesday evening, 9 p.m. sharp. If you made it this far, thank you. Please like, subscribe, leave me a comment. Hope you learned something or maybe find this interesting. Please reach out and let me know. And thank you so much. Good night.